Right, guys, and welcome back. This is the Above Average FPL podcast with me, CY, and Baker, FPL 343. How you doing this evening, mate?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Slight change of scenery, a little bit of a change in getting everything set up, but it's been okay.
We're close, aren't we? We're close. We're
We're a
not
little
too
bit
far
closer.
away.
Well, you're about an hour down the road now from me. Still further
Yeah,
south, but yeah, about an hour down the road. But yeah, it's good to be back with family and seeing people. It's great, to be honest. Really nice
mm.
drive down. Absolutely, really nice to have the drive down and actually nothing going on in the meantime, like setting alarms for transfer deadlines and stuff like that, and then stopping and going, "Yep, perfect. I can do my team now." And then, right, okay, I've got another hour and a half now. Shit, am I going to get back on time? Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, you were travelling through it, weren't you? The change of deadline times,
Yes.
madness. We said about it being like a 1:30 deadline seemed weird on a Saturday, but then a 4 o'clock deadline on Saturday was
That's bizarre because I think
just mad.
I don't recall it ever really. We obviously haven't had a week like this where the deadline has moved, and even with the sort of the COVID all stuff beforehand, we didn't have anything like that
Mm.
either. The deadline was just kind of the deadline, and so you just kind of dealt with it. But yeah, it was odd, and I do feel bad for people who brought in Watkins on the day and the day before, because obviously you try and
All one
prepare.
million of them.
No, not all
All
1 million of them,
one
but
million of them.
no. I mean, the guys that went earlier than that, I think if you went more than 24 hours before the deadline, I think you probably hurt yourself.
Mm.
It's not fine. We're all busy, etc. But you know that stuff's happening, right? So you have to try and leave it as late as possible. And look, if it's 3 a.m. deadline for you, then you have to get stuff done a few hours earlier. Then that's unlucky, and there's nothing you can do about that. It's outside of your control, and it sucks. But that's just unfortunately the way the game is at the moment. There's
Yeah.
not really much that can be done without being unfair to someone. So that's the kind of difficulty with a worldwide game.
It's tough in it as well, and the price changes on that doesn't help anyone, does it? It
No,
doesn't. It really doesn't. Because we use then third-party sites to sort of inform decisions and get us all scared and do what they need to do. Um, and a lot of people went from Antonio to Watkins, and so therefore it was like they knew they were going to have a zero point 0.2 swing, and it's just such a big number that I can't blame them, those that did it. I really
no.
can't blame them, those that did it, because we had no indication of it. I saw some things about, why is it first thing in the morning? The thing is that they're about to get on a coach with some players, so they have to test them before they get on the coach. So that's just, there's always an opportunity that we're going to have testing done of that morning. That there has to be a test that's done. So they're doing PCR tests twice a week, and then lateral flow tests every day before they can get to training. And on game day, they have to have a test that morning. So therefore, there's always a chance that these things will come about it. The bit that's just very frustrating is no one really knows the mechanics, isn't it? No one knows the mechanics of what we're dealing with here. Of when is it you take people out and not out? And there's a whole big thing about fairness, isn't there? So is it fair if your team's not affected, or is it that you've prepared better to be in that place? And your players are better disciplined to minimize the risk. And it's like we don't really know behind the story of how lucky or unlucky a team is, because we don't know the precautions exactly that teams are taking, and we don't know the way that the players are behaving for it.
I mean, one thing we do see, or at least there's a little bit of transparency, I guess, if you look at the way that Klopp manages, or at least communicates how he manages, his team and his squad, and his expectations and that kind of thing. He puts something out there very clearly that and he's very passionate about the subject anyway. And if you agree or disagree with him, that's your prerogative. But he has a very clear direction for his squad, and it's is it a coincidence that they haven't had any issues, or they've only had
But
small amount of issues?
there's still some issues, isn't they?
Of course, they've got some. I mean, it's gonna come through, but they're not seeing the same numbers as some numbers as other clubs. Otherwise, they would have had to have had games cancelled themselves. Surely.
I don't know. I just think it's that Klopp's also putting a good spin on it. They played Morton today, and like none of us knew Morton is like type thing. And other teams might have made a big deal of the fact that they had to put him in and so forth. And he did talk at the end of it.
It felt like I can't think of the word, but what is it? Like mouthpiece type thing. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you look at the squad, look at the bench that he had. I mean, he had Firmino on the bench, Oxlade-Chamberlain on the bench, Minamino on the bench. He's got recognised players in there. It felt like an empty statement to put him on and then try and complain about squad depth when really he could have just put him on the bench and played somebody with 150 Premier League games behind him. I mean, it's just
it could.
But maybe he felt
he did make a good point about then that what it's making some teams do is do things they don't want to do with their players in terms of injuries. And he talked about the fact of, having to play like Milner and Keita when he was like, I wouldn't have given them starts, and Tuchel similar with Kovacic and having to play him when it's just like just come back and type thing. So the Premier League is just such big consequence. Like if your team misses out on the top four, so probably not so much on being first or second, but if somehow Chelsea got sucked into a top four race, somehow it went in a bad way because it just kept getting issues and they kept playing and they didn't get in. Like that's a big deal. They could lose so many years ground on City and Liverpool.
Yeah.
It's just big. It's just the consequence of it. If you have to play and you're depleted, just feels it just doesn't feel that easy watching the games and so forth. And I felt a bit uneasy just watching, like, for example, the Arsenal Leeds game, just because you're just looking at Leeds' team and you're like, that's not even COVID issues. But then you do ask yourself a question of what's happened there that they've had so many injuries and we don't really know the story behind it. And is it just we play too many games or is it just bad luck? But it's still bad luck missing players, isn't it? Whether it be injury or COVID, it's still bad luck. And you think to yourself, well, why do teams get games called off, but you don't get it if you've got 15 injuries type things and stuff? Like,
yeah, Leeds is a strange one. I mean, obviously they're missing. Like to lose Bamford as well, the way they did, injuring himself, celebrating a goal, just stupid things like that. It does feel a bit bad luck in that sense. Yeah.
Well, everything just feels a little bit off. Do you know what I mean? Just watching it. So I think, we're going to have some announcements. That's what we're expecting. By the time probably people listen to this, we might have even already had announcements. But
Well, shall we cover that in a sec? If we just go through like our week and how we got on and how we sort of navigated it, what we did, what we got lucky with, etc. And
I thought you will want to cover your week.
I'll plug the podcast first. Don't worry. So in terms of the podcast, make sure you follow us both on Twitter. I am at Above Average FPL. That's the podcast account, and Baker is at Baker FPL 343. The podcast is available on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. We are also on YouTube if you are watching on YouTube. So the YouTube channel is youtube.com/Above Average FPL. And for those watching on YouTube, you can see that now on screen. For either the podcast or YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you're on YouTube, please like the video. That really, really helps us. If you're listening, then rate the video, give us a review, and that would be great. If you do subscribe, then you'll get the latest episode directly to your device. And we also put a tweet out to let you know that it's there as well.
Tell us about your week, mate. Get into your week.
Okay, right. So I had... Bring it up on screen now. I mean, you can see the score. You saw the score above me, most likely. But yeah, I had a pretty decent week. Showing it on screen now. So for those listening, I went full auto subs FC. So I'll just read you the 11 rather than the 11 that I started. So I had Mendy in goal. Finally, Chelsea kept a clean sheet. I had James as well. Had Trent. I punted on Gabriel. Didn't work because Arsenal, for some reason, because Ben White, bloody hell, conceded that dumb penalty. Also had Ben White at the back, so I had 5 at the back. Midfield of Mount, Jota, Bernardo, and Salah, and then Lacazette up top on his own. And I missed one player out deliberately because I'm sitting with my captain with Cancelo. So I messaged you, and I've shared this on Twitter already. I messaged you Saturday morning. I was like, mate, who was I listening to? I can't remember who I was listening to. I think I was listening to the Athletic podcast, and they were saying that like Cancelo's last goal in the Premier League was against Newcastle. And I'm like, right, I'm going to message Baker, let him know, and say that was and say that was his last goal. And I just said screams 18-pointer because I kind of just went goal, assist, max bonus. And it's right. Well, how does that work out? And so yeah, 18 points is what I thought might happen, and I was
bang on.
I was bang on. Yeah, I really wanted to go with my gut with this week. I felt like it was a good week to take on Salah. I knew obviously I was going to take on the ownership. I made my bed with that, and so I got a huge green out of it. Gone from sort of, I think last time we released something I was at 290k. So in 18 and 19, I've gone up to 147k, 74 points after my hit. So
lovely, mate. Well done.
It feels like I've recovered those points that I lost when I captained Havertz in game week 9.
Taken
That's what
on.
It feels like.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's the same similar swing, isn't it?
Similar swing, yeah. So it's about 5 points difference or something like that. So I'm kind of back in that ballpark now, and I don't know. I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing though, because I've kind of maybe I'm setting myself up for future captain choices and saying, oh, I could take on Salah. And
well, we're going to have to, aren't we? Really, probably over the next few weeks anyway. So it's no bad thing.
So yeah, did well,
mate. Did well.
And you?
60, no hits. Got 10 out, but one of them was a 0-pointer, so probably effectively 9 out. But probably just quite frustrating in that the Watkins things completely changed the way that we was going to play. So I was looking at Martinelli in.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah,
that was where we were at after the midweeks. Then once things got a bit more dicey, and we didn't think maybe Liverpool and Chelsea games might go ahead, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can go Martinelli. I was swaying very much back to Saka in that sense. And then as soon as Watkins was out, I was like, oh, if I bring a midfielder in, I can actually field 5 midfielders and 5 defenders. So can't play them all. So I'm guaranteeing myself to only have 10 men. So I'll bring Lacazette in. And it's just a bit uneasy, isn't it? That we're not bringing in the best player we want. We're bringing in a player to try and give us numbers. And it just feels a bit, not the right way to play. So yeah, ended up bringing him in. But yeah, 60 points, almost bang on 10k, just outside it. Take it, keep it. I mean, that's all any of us should be looking at really at the moment. If there's opportunities to move, you've done brilliantly. And if not, you're trying not to just fall apart while games get cancelled and stuff go wrong, because 38 game weeks, there's plenty of time. So happy, keep going.
We've done well. We've navigated through it. And actually, as well as we've done, and this is not to rub salt anywhere, but as well as we've done, actually, the fixtures change last minute impacted us as well in terms of the decision we had to make Martinelli. And, I was saying to you as well, like Gallagher to Martinelli feels like my move, and it would have just been a single move, and I'd have had Watkins up front, and I'd have been happy with that, and I probably still would have been on Cancelo captain because I was pretty hot on that. So yeah, we did well. Take it.
Yeah. Just get through it. I mean, it felt bad. I thought to myself, God, I'm in a good position here. I've got 11 players, and then Friday night, just all of the midfielders, Leeds and Arsenal scored, or they all scored, and it was like, I haven't got any of them. So it was bad starts of the week. So to have got through it in a 4-game week, just take it and run. I suppose we should talk about some games, but we'll probably talk before about whether we'll have any games.
Yeah, so I'm just pulling up a tweet onto the screen now. So if you want to talk us through that tweet from The Athletic, or if you've got it up.
Yeah, so there's a meeting that's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not 100. Well, the Athletic aren't the sort that are just going to say these things, but the talk is that they'll take out game week 20, which is basically the one between Boxing Day and New Year's Day. But the thing I don't really understand is we've just lost a game week. Will we actually have players back by Boxing Day to be able to then say we can play Boxing Day? Because Villa, for example, just had that outbreak. They're not going to be back by Boxing Day. So
No.
what do we do with them? So is it that we take out that game on the 28th, but then give people like a couple of extra days or something maybe to do it? So that's what we have to play with and say, how does it work? But then the other thing is going to be the broadcasting. So game week 20 is an Amazon game week. Amazon only get 2 game weeks in the entire season. They've had one. This is their second one. So they only get 2 game weeks in the whole season, and one of them gets binned. I'm not so sure. Like, this is a big time of year for Amazon. You know, that's the whole point, is loads of people are drawn into it. Loads of people sign up to Prime this time of year. Loads of people, you know, will be with their families watching football. It's a prime week they've bought this for. Where does that, you know, who's going to refund them?
Yeah, I mean, from a footballer's point of view, I mean, and you say the situation at the moment, it just doesn't seem to make sense if they want to create some kind of circuit breaker, as people are calling it, whereby, you know, we have this sort of mini reset. And I think, you know, the sensible thing I would think, if just logically, would actually be to break now and be like, see you in 2022, and you know that gives us, what is it, 12 days?
Yeah.
That gets people through, you know, through their isolation periods. It minimizes contact. It does all this sort of stuff, and you know, it's clearly rife everywhere at the moment. So, and to me, that makes more logical sense.
There's just so many things in play, though. Is like, so for example, you add in then the Carabao. So
Yeah.
we've got games midweek, which is games midweek, in front of fans a few days before Christmas is irresponsible. We, you know, you're down here. We're supposed to be going on Wednesday night to Tottenham West Ham.
Yeah.
And we're now in a position where this is the bit that just sits so well with me, is that we're basically being asked to make our own moral decisions here of whether we go or not. And you're either going to be in a place where you go, well, I'm just not going to go because it's too risky, or you're going to go, I'm just going to go because hey ho. Or you're going to be there, well, I'm going to go, but I'm going to try and do everything I can do to protect myself. But I saw loads of pictures at Tottenham today, like of fans at the ground and stuff like that, taking pictures. All of the crowd shots, no one was wearing masks while watching the game.
No.
Nobody's watching a game. It just feels wrong when currently we've got like less than one in 50 people have COVID right now in London, and 60,000 people are going to watch a game. That doesn't feel right. And it definitely doesn't feel right 2 days before Christmas that you have that game. When what you could do is they're due to play semi-finals on the 4th of January and the 11th of January. Again, madness, two extra games, is bin that down to one leg and move the quarterfinals to, say, the 4th of January after Christmas.
Yeah, there's absolutely no need for, there's absolutely no need for that competition to end in February, is there really, either? There's
no, and they could just push it
back to May and, you know, do all this overshadowing the FA Cup nonsense, get away with that, and just stretch it out. There's considerations that, you know, they're going to have they've got to have an X amount of time at rest at the end of the season, and it's a World Cup year next year, mid-season. It's all sorts of awkward fixture pile up organisation. I think
there's only 2 actual midweeks that are free between now and the end of the season. So all these games to fit in, like, if teams stay in competitions, and our people are all doing pretty well in Europe, the Champions League's one certainly. Tottenham, who've got games behind, are still in the Carabao, and who knows on the Europa business.
Hopefully we're out of the conference, but
but who knows in that world? So it's really awkward, and basically what they know is that they haven't got a Ben Crellin. Basically, they should be just paying Ben Crellin to try and work this out and get someone in there that's gonna work through solutions. But you just got all these broadcasters where they're like, I've paid a load of money here. I want my games on. Thanks.
Yeah.
And they're like, and this is the bit where, if say only 2 games go ahead, Premier League are happy with that because they still get 2 games on broadcast. Whereas, so these sort of short game weeks where you only have like four games going ahead, well, that's there. But then there's other stuff you could do if you were trying to be proactive in that. Do you try and, for example, say you've got 2 teams that aren't playing each other that are both in a good space? Why can't they bring that fixture forward?
Yeah.
Why can't they just try and be it? Like, if they really want to play football, but it just feels like no one's really making a decision. And then the decision
again,
is
it's still all driven
out.
around, still driven around money. That's the thing, because they have to have the television cameras there. They have to have all of this sort of stuff in place. Is it going to be a live game? Is it not? Oh, you're putting an extra midweek game in. Oh, let's bid for that. And it's just constant drive for money, for more coverage, etc. These games are being broadcasted around the world. Every time they have a midweek game, it limits their audience on around the world, because in the middle of the week and in the east of the world, everyone's asleep. Well, most football fans are normally watching, but everyone's really asleep. And in the West, in the US, they're working. So these midweek games are really, really difficult for broadcasters. They're just, it's just hard. And obviously, you need to cater for the people in the country that the games are being played. So you can't play them at like 3:00 in the afternoon, for example. So,
I don't think they're going to want to have a full break, because I just don't think they can catch up. So I think they're going to try and power on as best they can. But I just think it's going to just keep being messy. The other thing we have to just always try and consider is we're FPL players. So we think if it's chaos in FPL, that means the league shouldn't continue. That's what we think. We think like, oh, it's unfair, like, and all these things. That only matters if you play Fantasy Premier League. Like 8 million people play Fantasy Premier League, but 1 billion people are watching the Premier League. Is like we are.
It's like saying that FPL Twitter is the is what happens in FPL. It's a very small percentage.
So if there is game weeks which have 2 games here, 3 games here, 2 games, they're fine. Like they because they're getting money still, so they're not thinking about it. And the bad part from us as FPL players is we've got, when you just think about the actual game of FPL, what's changed? Like, whatever changes. Like, I was out last night for a few beers, and I was talking to someone about third-party sites and saying about so he said, what you do? I was just checking to see how the Arsenal League game was hurting my fantasy team. And he said, oh, what are you doing that on? And I was like, oh, it's a site, it's called Live FPL. And this guy's a teacher, and I was like, well, how does he do that? And he said, oh, there's this really clever guy, and he writes Python code, and he scrapes off the site, and he puts it in, and he's like, why doesn't the site just tell you what the score is? And you're like, well, and he's like, but how many people play? 8 million, right? But they can't give you live scores. No, but some guy can just write a program that does it. Yeah.
Sounds ridiculous, isn't it?
Like, we'd had a few beers, like we're chatting it through, and I'm like, yeah. And it just made me sort of realize this game can't cope with change. We were all thinking, when we were all desperately checking, and they put back the deadline from 1:30 till 4. Like, we think they can't even just move the clock. They can't even press snooze. Like, that's how bad we think they are. So stupid when you think about the game. So therefore, it doesn't help any of this chaos. Like, I saw lots of people saying about, oh, will they give us extra transfers? Will they do this? And I'm like, I don't think they've got the mechanics to be able to push free transfers of 2 up to 3. I don't think they can do it. I think they just go, we'll give you a wild card, mate. We'll just give you a wild card.
I mean, I saw someone tweet out that like Fantasy Football Scotland were doing something whereby, for every, if there was a fixture where you had a COVID related absence, you get a extra free transfer or something like that.
Yep.
And I'm thinking that works when the game's got like, I don't know, 10,000 people in it, and you've got a small program. But for them to build it and for that to be relevant for 8 million, I mean, they almost should be able to do it, but they just
So if you put the equivalent in NFL, so an NFL game, you have your starting lineup, then you have your bench, Yeah, but if any of your players get COVID, you've got a reserve bench. You also can use that reserve bench if people get long-term injuries. They're placed in the injured reserve. When you move them down, that means you've then got an extra space in your squad, so you could do it. Now, in NFL, it's all draft related, so you're not buying, so there's no currency. You just go pick players. But if you did something similar like that, so if I had Salah, 12 million or whatever he is, 13 million now, and he got injured, I could move him to there, and it'd give me 13 million to spend on one player in the minute. Then what happens is when he comes back, I have to remove that value out of my squad, not necessarily with the player that I've brought in, but in some way I have to make room for him to come back in.
Yeah.
And I cannot, once he's fit, I cannot make any transfers until I've done that. So it has to be the first thing you look at.
Yeah.
Those things, they could do those things, but they're never going to, because they've done nothing for years, you know. And it is odd that we just have a game that we play, and it kind of needs the bigger games like the Fan Team, the Sky, those ones to do something that I think it might force these guys through. But I think they're just going to muddle along.
They do. I mean, the beauty almost of FPL and the the USP is that it's very, very simple. It's a really, really simple game. The bonus scheme is the most complex thing on there. Causes the most controversy, but it's the most complex thing on there. I mean, obviously the price changes. Yeah. I guess the anonymity of the price changes. Nobody knowing what the hell's going on there. But that's why they don't change things again, because they just feel like it's going to break it. And there are other platforms out there that you can, if you want sort of more in depth. I mean, I think Fan Team is quite well aligned with FPL in terms of scoring matrix. There's obviously slight differences in prices and things like that, and how that works. And you've got the individual game weeks and the pricing being based on fixture difficulty and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just the way that it's simple for anybody to understand.
The simplicity is good.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure you necessarily want to change the mechanics of the game, because then I do think we have that thing where we all look at our history and it's like, well, is that old school or this school and all these what? But there are some stupid things. Like a mate of mine.
Does that matter to though? Really?
No. Exactly. Mate of mine texted me and said, "Is there any chance the COVID off fixtures get put back into this game week?" And I said, "No, that's not happening." He said, "So why don't they show us having blank fixtures?" And I was like, I'm going to just put Antonio first on my bench just in case he comes in, just in case those sort of things happen, because you're like, they don't blank them off. It
took until the end of the game week. So I was looking through to set up like the bottom, what you can see down there scrolling along with the points. And I was literally I was going to use the app because I was going to put the postponed games in there just as everyone knew they were off anyway. But I looked through and it was only at the end of the game week they took them off, because like during the games today they were still there. Like you could see at the top, Brentford versus Man United or whatever it was.
Yeah, it
was still there. And then I look at just now and there's only 4 games there, so they literally wait until all the whatever they've done.
So
only gone through at the last second. It really is quite simple.
Yeah. So we ain't going to get anything from the game. We're not going to get anything from the game. We're not going to get additional transfers. We're not going to get any additional things. There's going to be no dynamic changes to the game.
No, and if as long as the game continues, and again, I think it depends on how long the game's going to pause for.
But even then, this is the thing. When they had the old last pause, like the game weeks still kept getting played, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
So they're taking out game week 20. If that's what happens, will we still play game week 20 and shift out, or will it disappear and everything gets shuffled forward and it doesn't?
I don't know. Does that mean does that mean we automatically roll a transfer?
Exactly. So if they take all the fixtures out of it, will game week 20 still exist in the game and we all get a transfer to make? So we do get an extra transfer for game week 20, because then the other ones will feed into doubles. That's what we don't know. Like, that could happen, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I think that is going to happen.
Yeah, so 20 goes away and then we all get a second transfer for game week 21. Or we can make a transfer in game week 20 if we want, but it's only going to be...
When would they put the deadline for game week 20 if there's no games in it?
Oh, fuck. God knows.
It's
no
going
idea.
to be horrific.
Yeah, 1.5 hours before the game that doesn't exist. Yeah, no idea.
Oh God, this is going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Oh.
We have to try and take the stress out of this. Like it can get quite stressful. Lineups are getting more stressful, aren't they? I mean, like the number of fake lineups and things that we're all sharing and getting involved in, and it's like, is this guy legit? We need to get like tiers, like like you get these tiers, and it's like, oh, this one might be all right.
You need to rank your you're in the nose for your lineup.
It's happening though, isn't it? We're all
Gold
like,
tier.
Salah was out, Salah was back in. Reece James had COVID, didn't have COVID.
Well, the thing is though, I still don't. I still don't get the leaks post deadline. Again, did I say this last week?
It's a waste of time, isn't it? Like, it doesn't matter to us.
I mean, and no disrespect to Rockstar, he's excellent at what he does, but saying Cancelo needs a rest like 3 minutes before the 4:30 deadline on a Sunday when the Friday night game was the start of the game.
We hang on it. We hang on it.
Like Cancelo needs a rest. Whole Twitter goes mad, and you're like, well, to be honest, mate, it was 36 hours ago the deadline, so who cares?
Why do we hang on those things?
Oh, no idea. No idea.
We literally take it, retweet it, copy it, share it in like 4 other groups and stuff. And yeah, look at this. By the time we've shared it everywhere, it's been announced.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, okay, so let's have a quick look at how everyone in our league has managed to navigate the last couple of weeks, and then we can look at fixtures and move on, or look at fixtures from this week and talk about those. And if you want, does that work?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So, the pod league is open until Christmas Day, and then on Christmas Day, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close the league. So, forget all the presents and all that. First thing I'm doing is I'm closing the league. So, if you want to get into the league, the code is 75YYTG. Come and join us, especially if you're a good player, because it seems like every single person that joins us in the last 3 weeks has gone into the top 5. So, there's still some good players around there. I don't think we're going to get enough people to actually get on the official site board. I think you have to have the top 5 guys or something to do that. But in terms of the league, so I'm just putting that up on screen now for those on YouTube. And so Brooksy Brooks has topped the league with a massive 84 points this week.
Wow.
Now, Brooksy is in one of our leagues.
Oh, one of our old like.
He's in our global Premiership head-to-head league.
That's your
which is my mate out in KL. The guy who's running it is smashing it as well in that league. I can't think exactly what his what his rank is. But I mean, like Brooks, Cancelo captain and had Martinelli. So and had Alonso, who managed to get away with top bonus this week as well. So just like absolutely massive.
Smashed it.
So he's sitting at like 477 in the world at the moment, which is just monster. I mean, it's just so
Big.
Good. My mate who runs it, my mate Dan who runs it. I mean, he's like sitting at 3K at the moment, so he's doing really, really well.
Monsters.
He's not in here, but in second place, Joe Berman. He's on 1,233. And then you've got Tom Glover in third, Ashes Saeed in fourth, and Game of Throw-ins Anthony No with 1,225 points.
Well played.
Well played to all of you guys. Absolutely smashing it. Love it. And again, no one in our... what was I saying? Like, it was 35k our top 10. And...
Some big weeks.
And now it's 10k. So our top 10 people in our league 2 weeks ago was top 35k. It's now 10k, and that is you, mate. You are 10th in the league.
10th, mate. Hanging in.
Good job to you.
Oh, Craig Kemp, we do the old spaces quite often with. He had a good week.
Oh, he's in there, is he?
And he did do the old Antonio de Watkins for the old 0.2 the night before as well, and then just took it. So did really well to get a 79 with that. But,
Cancelo, Alonso, triple Chelsea defence. They finally came through.
Yeah, he'd be like you, loves the old defender captain, loves the differential captain.
Love it. I love it.
Cool. Should we talk about some games?
Yeah, Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, It's not Friday night. I keep thinking it's Friday night because it was a night game. It wasn't.
God,
it was
Saturday
last
night.
I said it earlier, Friday night. It wasn't a Saturday night game. It's so weird, this game week. It's done us in. It's aged us.
Saturday night.
The thing is, I know Leeds were depleted.
You all right, mate?
Leeds
we have no
depleted.
idea what's going on. Sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
Leeds were depleted, but they still have Ayling and Dallas and Cott. Those are good players. Yeah, those are players that are in or amongst their first team. I don't think I've ever seen a worse line run by a Premier League team. I don't think I've ever seen it. As we have played Sunday League and whatever league we've played, and every league, every form of football, somebody takes the lead and runs the line for you, doesn't it? Somebody says to me, and you run that line and everyone sticks with that person. They had no line. Like, if you just watch the highlights and see Arsenal's chances, it's very, very clever what they did. And how they work it is Lacazette just takes the central place. He's like drawing everybody in. And then Martinelli and Saka were really clever in that basically they were like linesmen. They just looked at who was the person that was going to give them that opportunity. And they just stood there. And the ball was always there for them. They were just, every goal that went in, you thought, maybe that's no, it's not offside. It's not even close to offside. It was just really bad lines. Nothing was in order. And they exploited that really well in a way that made you go, oh, that's interesting, of just the way they are. Because we knew that Leeds conceded chances centrally. And that might suggest that the forward was going to do well. But what happened was the forward sucks them in, and actually the wingers get central chances because they're able to get clean through.
Inside, playing inside in that channel. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think there was anything about the game. Yeah, it was. But the game went exactly as I think everyone expected it to go. I mean, Arsenal on nice little vein of form. Unfortunately, I think I was saying last week was. They're getting quite good now, or they're looking quite good, at least very confident, moving the ball well, creating a lot of chances. I mean, they created a number of chances even around those first 3 goals. They could have had more, and they amassed 3 XG in the first half. I mean, it made perfect sense that they went in at the break 3-0 up. They absolutely dominated, and then took their feet off the gas a bit. They didn't really need to expend so much energy. I was quite impressed with the Leeds fans at the end, though. Just talking like, there's a lot of commitment. Fans seem to be very happy that games are just being played at the moment.
It must be tough, though. You must watch that and think, not only are we depleted, but we're bad. I often just watch it and think, what must Rafinha think most of the time?
Yeah, I mean, if they somehow survive this Premier League season, I mean, then I can't see anything but them being relegated next year when they lose him.
If they stay up this season, then he should be player of the season, mate. Because it's just ridiculous how much he's having to work for that, and he doesn't complain. He just heads down and
I don't know, and they were partly because obviously we don't hear anything from him, but he just seems to just get head down, and they did seem a bit bitey though. They felt like they were quite pretty aggressive, particularly in the second half.
But then I think a lot of it's just caused by bad refereeing. Xhaka should have been gone. He shouldn't have been on the pitch. He should.
Gelhardt could have gone as well in that second half. Yeah, same deal.
But it's the one equals the other, and we've seen that all weekend. So we'll get to it, Tottenham stuff, but it's no coincidence that the person that gets fouled and ends up striking out. And Xhaka just should have gone. It was a disgusting challenge. It was worth a red on its own, but the fact that he should have been booked and then just does that 2 minutes later, it's just bad management of the game. It's just crappy. And then like you say, then what happens is if the wrong decision's made, it just keeps escalating. You have stupid things happen all the time. Ben White gives away a stupid penalty. I mean, that's just an appalling challenge. And Gelhardt was just young and just diving into people, doing whatever he could. Really, it was just silly. But the Smith Rowe one hurts for a non-owner because it doesn't. Do you know what? It doesn't hurt me that those that have got him, because lots of people have had him for a long time and he's done really well for them. And he's got 7 goals now from 7 shots, whatever it is, and it's been brilliant. And I have no like sadness to those people because they were right to get him at the time.
Yeah.
But you're wrong to get him now. When he's not playing, they've played the same team 4 games in a row and it's not included him. You are wrong to transfer him in. And he was the most transferred in midfielder this week. And those people have all got lucky. And they'll probably get lucky again and get lucky again and get lucky again. So getting lucky with someone that's just coming off the bench and scoring his only shot against the worst defence in world's ever seen. Just, that hurts. That hurts the ownership-wise.
Yeah.
But Saka looks brilliant. Actually, Lacazette, I know everyone joked and made lots of stuff about the assist, non-assist and stuff. He could have been given more assists, and he could have been given less assists. And he definitely could have scored a lot of goals. So, those that haven't got him being upset that he got 5 points were very, very lucky that he only got 5 points. I think all the signs are good, and I don't see any signs that they change. The only thing that they might face is that this game week 20, these next couple of games were pretty good for them. So they've got Norwich and Wolves their next 2 games.
Yeah.
But you take that out, and suddenly it goes from Norwich, it goes
straight into City, then Tottenham.
Yeah. So suddenly it's not maybe quite as good as it was.
Wouldn't be great if you were tripled up on them, for example.
And there is that. And obviously Norwich is a danger because of not being able to play this week.
Yeah, true.
So then we've got 3 games today.
Yeah.
I mean, Wolves, Chelsea. Do we? I mean, I don't want to talk about that.
I don't know. Chelsea, I'd say depleted, but I mean, that's not exactly a weak side they played. They didn't exactly play a week 11, did they?
No, they still got a good team out.
Really good team.
It was really foggy. If you haven't seen it, then it was just unbelievably foggy. One of those where you couldn't really see the pitch watching it, like on a stream trying to watch it. I was watching that whilst having the Newcastle City game on, and it was like I can't really see where the ball is. I'm just hoping for the best, but it was scrappy. But Wolves are doing that to everyone. So there's only been 1 goal in the game, basically every game for the last 7 games or something now for Wolves. They just drain the life out of games. It's just
full Nuno ball all over again.
It's worse than Nuno ball. It's like genuinely the most disgusting games. Is if you looked at them as a team. So this is their XG of late. Wolves. So they were 0.32 today. They were 1.1 against Brighton, 0.08 against City, 0.1 against Liverpool, 0.7 against Burnley, 0.3 against Norwich.
That Norwich not even average. Out, but
yeah. But all of the games are that way. They've had a 0.25 away to Palace. They're just a horrible, horrible team. They're horrible for the opposition as well, though. So that's the good one to look at. It does seem to be that if you're playing them, you're great for a clean sheet, but you probably don't want to be looking at not for captaincies and not for doubling up on attacks against them. So it's one to just keep an eye on. So Watford is the Boxing Day game, and I think a lot of us are looking at, a lot of us maybe have King on who's been on the bench this week, and it's like I think he's an easy one to bench this week. Home to Watford. What's the best he gets?
Well, yes, I'm very uncomfortable talking about players to bench this week when we're all, I think, probably going to be trying to get 11 on the pitch again.
Yeah, it's a good point. But is at the moment, if they're all going on, the good news about Boxing Day for game week 19 is that you've got all the games.
Yeah, you got 9 of them, is it not? Is it not
Yeah,
9
and the
out of
other
10?
one's, other one's Man United, so who cares? And it's Newcastle, you know. So it's just whether you want to bring someone in, but also makes me not want to bring a Man United
That's
player in.
horrible, isn't it? That's even
Yeah,
worse. See,
yeah.
it's even worse because that's the fixture, right? That's the fixture of the weekend.
Mm.
Christ. Okay.
Tough, isn't it, though?
Yeah.
Like, so everyone's saying, oh, I want to go back to Ronaldo. Do you? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure you do.
Yeah.
So those two, and Chelsea is a problem. So we've all got like a couple at least, if not 3. So they lose game week 20, and then suddenly, so Chelsea will be away to Villa, home to Liverpool, away to City, home to Tottenham, blank, blank.
Yeah.
Bad.
Really bad.
Bad. Really bad.
I mean, they're already bottom as it stands at the moment. They're already bottom of the ticker.
Yeah.
From game week 19 to 24. So you add another blank on the end of that, and it's just.
Yeah. And you know, COVID situation's not getting better for them.
No, it's not. No, they're sort of getting 1 or 2 a day at the moment.
I think I'd be surprised if that Boxing Day game goes ahead with Chelsea in a bad place and Villa already in a bad place. Feels like the Tottenham Leicester one where it was like Tottenham could have played it and Leicester could have played it, but it was like we're both not in a great position, so we'll keep pushing for this. And I feel like Villa and Chelsea will both be like, get this gone, especially as well for Chelsea because they're playing badly, so they can just get themselves. They need to get as many players back for that Liverpool game because that Liverpool game is make or break. If they lose to Liverpool, that's their title challenge over, isn't it?
Yeah,
Done.
absolutely.
That Liverpool and City games, if they win those 2 games, they're back in the race. If they lose those 2 games, just done, and they probably are getting caught by the 4th place teams. So they really want to be back on it. So, like you say, is we could have issues here where we lose Chelsea players and lose Villa players, and that's one. If Chelsea game is off on that one, I'll be happy to take hits to get rid of Chelsea players.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm quite happy taking hits anyway. Full stop. I'm quite happy taking hits anyway. I took a hit to bring in 2 Arsenal players this week. I have no moral code whatsoever.
That's how we're at. So then we've got the 2 fun games.
Yeah.
To talk about
City.
Well, you better talk about that, really.
Well, I was in Tesco, mate. So I was just dancing around. Tesco aisles as I've seen the goals. I haven't seen the game. I've seen the goals because as soon as I came back, pretty much it was Tottenham. So although I did watch, I watched the most of the second half. But yeah, man, Cancelo. I mean, the assist for the first one was a bit lucky in that.
What is he doing?
I mean, he's just tried to carve it back in, and like the Newcastle defence have just gone. I don't know what they were doing.
I don't understand.
Just taking no responsibility whatsoever. Nice easy header for Diasa. His goal though, like fine, like they part like the Red Sea, but
he could have had more,
takes
mate.
a few steps in and great finish. He's just a great player.
He's so much greater on the right side as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I just watch them when he's on the right and Zinchenko's on the left. I just feel like they're a much better team than Cancelo on the left and Walker on the right.
Zinchenko's dangerous as well. And you can tell in like his assist today was
he's a proper player.
He's a really good player. He's a good player. I mean, he's a good player. He's a good quality left back or left wing back. I think there are better players in the league above him, but there's a load worse than him.
They're being very, very clever with Diaz and Rodri, just getting them off. The second game is the one at the moment, just keeping those players free. You know, it's all very clever. The issue is one of those issues there is that Bernardo is just way too deep.
Yeah, I saw that. That's a problem. That's a change in tact. It's frustrating when you bring these assets in and suddenly the manager changes their role or they change their positioning, and it's like
just evolves so quick.
Like Gallagher one as well. Just from one game to the next, he's playing in different positions. But yeah, Bernardo definitely a difficult one. It's it's really frustrating when someone like Mahrez pops up and starts smashing it as well. Because then you're like, where does he continue to fit in like future games? Because because Mahrez is up against basically it's basically Mahrez, Jesus, and Sterling ordinarily for 2 out of 3, aren't they?
It's no coincidence Cancelo does what he does when Mahrez on the pitch as well.
Mm.
Is they dovetail very, very well
Yeah.
in the
We've
rather
spoken about
than
that
just
before.
rather than it sort of Sterling comes in, he'll take that and he'll stay out there, and then Cancelo ducks in, and they play nice little intricate little passes to each other. They are for me. If Cancelo stays on the right, Mahrez then becomes a good option, because I just feel like he will play more on that side. He uses that width better. So today when they played more, sort of Sterling more on that left-hand side, they lost some of their width on that. But Zinchenko creates extra width than Cancelo does. So they're still doing it. They just use it a bit more in a different, clever way. But then Mahrez stays far right.
I think as well. I mean, I think we spoke about it. What was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? We spoke about whether teams take proper notice about what happens with other teams and how they're playing, and the amount of space that Newcastle afforded players like Trent, only a few days ago.
Yeah.
Cancelo in exactly the same position on the pitch. I mean, takes up exactly the same positions, and guess what? He gets a shot outside the box, same as Trent, same result. Like defenders aren't quite sure what to do because they're already having to deal with the players that are around them anyway. So if you go out and commit to try and make a challenge or close something down, the guy's just going to. If you close him down, he's just going to pass it, just past you, and there's going to be a chance there anyway. So you almost do. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. Sometimes with teams as good as like Liverpool and City, I guess. I mean, it was one-way traffic, and
I look at it and think players like Saka are more fun probably than Bernardo at the moment in a way they're playing. But the fixtures are getting a bit crapper. But I feel like there's lots of midfield options that are quite exciting. But I do look at the defence for City and think Laporte and Diaz, like, they could have 3 or 4 goals every game. Like, they were unlucky to not, Diaz did score and Laporte was unlucky, and they're just always in amongst it. I'm looking at finding a way, I think, to go back down, take one away and put one extra in defence maybe. Because the only way you actually benefited on Cancelo today was captaining him, wasn't it?
Yeah, really. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was like, what was he? I don't know what he was at your rank.
90 odd.
90 something.
Yeah. Not as much as I thought it would be, but he was like about dead on 90.
Well, actually, hold on. Let's see if I don't know whether the playmaker one tells us. Oh no, it doesn't tell us.
He's a lot though, but you're not gaining, are you? Because enough people have got Diaz to then offset it, so you're not really gaining.
Yeah.
A lot for it. So I always think when I'm watching something and I'm thinking this is greatness, I want to also benefit for it, and the way to benefit for it is to get another one.
James to Diaz feels easy. Feels really easy.
Feels really easy. You can have doubles, you can have triples.
That's what happens when I'm at my parents' house. I think the cat's just outside now, meowing at me. To be let in. It's not going to happen.
But they continue to be an elite attacking outlet, so you do want pieces. It's just where do you go with it? Where do you go with it? Yeah. I don't know about Mahrez on AFCON, about Algeria, whether they're in it or not.
No idea.
I'm going to quickly Google it. I'm going to quickly Google Mahrez AFCON. Yes, does sound like he will, yes. So that probably does take Mahrez out of the equation. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. That's a shame. That's a shame. So then we've got our game.
Fun.
I mean, it's a good game.
Oh, I can't remember a game for a long time. It's been a while since we've been as competitive as that.
In the big game as well.
In the big game, where ordinarily we'll concede and almost roll over, but we were competitive. We were very good. We were very strong. We ran a lot, pressing from the front properly, creating space and countering well as well. So out of possession, we were I say solid, but we were disciplined. We were well disciplined for the most part, and limited Liverpool to kind of sort of pot shots and this, that, and the other. I mean, they scored.
There's a lot of low value shots
Yeah,
in their piece. You know, is the goal obviously the Robertson one? He's 5 yards out, so that makes a big difference there. XG, and even the Jota one actually is reasonable. You know, from that sense, but most of their shots were relatively low value. And yeah, I mean, it's hard not to talk about the referee, because Paul Tierney's just a terrible referee. He's always been a terrible referee. He seems to have been sort of escalated, so it's worth always watching and seeing who's getting the most games. So Tierney, Taylor, and Oliver, those three now have all played at least 13 games. So is they're getting most weeks they're getting a game. And I just feel like I went to his head, like when he starts booking Klopp and stuff and doing that, that's almost him saying, yeah, I'm there. And then it's all these just stupid things. Is that obviously the Kane one, they don't overrule him, does he? You know, and he gives a yellow, so they just don't do anything. I'll just go, I'll protect my own. It's the first half, you know, won't do anything. And it's just crap. Like,
I mean, I think for all that we could protect Kane, he was out of control.
Reckless.
And didn't get anywhere near the ball. And on another day, could have been a red card.
You couldn't argue it.
I think we'd have argued it for. Well, to be fair, I didn't think it was a foul in real time. I didn't think it was a foul, but I thought he got there. But then, obviously, looking back, I went, "Oh, actually, never mind," because I was worried that he was going to go to the monitor.
And that's the bit, isn't it? That's the bit on the go to the monitor, is they don't go to the monitor. They actually just go to. It's a show.
To confirm, yeah, exactly.
It's a show, isn't it? It's not really it.
Same thing.
So when it happened, I was like not expecting a red card. Then suddenly it looked like, oh, this isn't too good. And then Gary Neville, that does make a big difference, the way that the commentators then start talking it up. And Gary Neville goes, oh, we could be in trouble here. And suddenly you're like, oh, I hadn't thought that was in trouble. Yeah, it is in trouble. Oh. Yeah. And then if he does go, he's sending him off. So people would say, oh, he should go and look at it. I think he should go and look at it and say, is that what I thought I saw or not? But that's not what happens. He goes there. If he goes there, he's sending him off. That's it. It's just what it is. And then after that, it's just a cacophony of just rubbishness that he doesn't give the Jota penalty. And he told Klopp that it was because he thought Jota was purposely slowing down.
Is that right?
That's what he told Klopp. Told Klopp, he said he thought he was purposely slowing down. So then VAR would have said to him, he knocks him over. And the ref would go, yeah, but he was purposely slowing down. They go, well, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Purposely slowing down. I mean, come on. He just went into the back of him. It was just a crap show.
And let's be clear. When you're 7 yards out or 6 yards out, and you then go to bring your leg back to shoot, you're not still running. You're slowing down. I mean, that's just a natural movement.
The ball.
You're just going to slow down so you can hit the ball. It just happens. You have to.
It's a penalty.
Anyway, it's a penalty.
And then he just carries on because the Winks one's a penalty. Matip's just gone through him, but he's gone, oh, I've not given that one, so I'm just going to not give it. So I'm just going to keep doing bad decisions. Then you've got the goal for Salah's goal where it could have been a penalty. Yes, it's weak, but there's no reason for Trent to put that hand out. There's no reason other than to foul a person.
Other than to foul him and put him off.
He's done it. He's done it purposely. So if it gives it, it's there. Then he doesn't spot the handball. So therefore, VAR makes the right decision, which is that it's not immediate. So you don't give it. Might not like the decision or the rule, but it's the right decision that VAR's done.
Yeah.
So that's nonsense.
And then he gets it right with Robbo.
No, he didn't get it right.
Well, no,
he gave a yellow.
He gave a yellow.
And VAR went, oh, mate, I can't take any more bad decisions from you, Paul. I'm just going to get over to at least do one of those for you. So just come and stand here for 2 seconds, then give him the card. And then
Did you notice how quick? Did you notice the video that he watched? How quick it looked like it was in like 2 times speed as well.
What I found
to make it look as bad as possible.
this doesn't help social media, and this doesn't help reports, and it doesn't help anything, is that when he went over to watch that, Sky decided to show a replay of the Kane incident. It's gotten.
I missed that.
Sky decided to show the Kane incident to say, hold on, he didn't send Kane off, so he shouldn't send Robertson off. And it's like, what? So are you saying that what should happen in football is that if the ref makes a wrong decision in the 4th minute, what we should do is make the wrong decision for 90 minutes. No matter what the right decision is, we should do the other one. Because I've already made one wrong one. So because we often say this, I just want them to be consistent. Do people want people to be consistently wrong? Like, that's not what we want.
No.
We want them to be right. We want competence over. Everyone always goes, I want to get rid of inconsistency. We want competence. The reason why VAR come in was to get competence and go to referees and go, if you get this wrong, I'm going to tell you get this wrong, and I'm going to show it to the world that you've got it wrong, and then you're going to be rubbish, and then it's going to make it better. None of that's happened, and we don't even spin the line that we want it to happen. Like, Klopp's a good man. Like, he said, it should have been a red for Robbo. Of course it's a red, but the other one should be. That's the right call. We just want good decisions. That's what really we want. But all any of us could do was compare that one to that one.
Yeah.
And 2 wrongs don't make a right. Like, Kane should have gone. Jota should have had a penalty. Wink should have had a penalty. And maybe that second goal shouldn't have counted, but it's not the world's worst thing in the world. And Robbo definitely should have gone. Yeah. So just make 4 good decisions. There you go.
Tottenham attack, though.
Tottenham attack.
Kane's
over 2 XG.
And another 6 shots from Kane.
Again, over 2 XG, 4 games in a row. Literally, only City. And he scored. Only City and Liverpool are outperforming Tottenham in XG for the last 4 games played. They are a good attacking team. Son's getting plenty of chances. Kane's getting plenty of chances. Dele messed up some big chances, but he made a big difference to that attack. There was a dynamism that Dele brought. They hated playing Dele today.
Yeah, he looked. Well, that was it. I mean, I was saying to you, he's like, after half an hour, he looked fucked. He was proper blowing. He actually looked like he was making an effort, and it almost looked like he'd put himself in positions where, when he had to make the right decision and make a competent pass or something like that, he just didn't have the energy to do it because he's been busting his ass for like.
The one where he was through
for Kane as well, and the one where he was through, he should have scored. I mean, great save, but still should have scored. And the pass
still made 70 yards to get there.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's an option for that team if they want to start playing him. I feel like he's a more dynamic option than Lucas in that front three. That's what I want to play. And it suddenly become more of a 3-5-2, which is how Conte went at Inter. So I do wonder if that's what we might see is that Conte just came in and did 3-4-3 because that suited the players that were playing. And maybe this break would do it. Saying that on Lucas is I watched the training video for the day before and you could tell he was puffing. I had to zoom in because he's quite little, and he's wearing his beanie. And I was like, is that Lucas? Is it not? Because he was just trotting, just doing nothing. He literally was doing nothing. I thought there's no chance I could see him starting. But yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on. I'm not saying go get Dele Alli right now. And we probably can't get to Son and Kane, but we might do. Might do soon.
Wild cards coming around. Never know when you're going to might need it. Never know when these doubles and blanks are going to be. Well, are there going to be any blank game weeks? I don't think there are going to be any more if they're all banked up here. It's going to be a case of like pick your double and go from there.
Home to Palace in 19 and away to Watford. The good thing you'd have to say is if a team's been shut down already because of the COVID cases that have happened, you've got a lot of players with lots of antibodies. Chances are they're not going to have issues for a little while.
You need someone to arrange fixtures so they can play each other.
You know,
those
it's
fixtures out of the way.
chances are Tottenham are available for the next few
Yeah,
weeks.
yes, yeah. Well, we were the first out, so we're probably going to be the first in, right? So that's the way it'll work. So
they could easily be okay for games. They've got Palace next, and then Watford away. I don't. Watford obviously have got cases, but that's New Year's Day, I think. So by that time, you'd think they're okay, but they might be just back, and Tottenham have been on it and refreshed.
When was the last time we had that amount of rest in between two games as well? I mean, call it whatever you want to. Call it whatever you want. Rest, COVID, all this sort of stuff. Genuinely, we actually looked like we'd had a rest as well.
Yeah. So what we've managed to do here is, despite Arsenal being brilliant, we've managed to finish it with talking about Tottenham.
Amazing. And we've managed to make 4 games last the same length as a normal podcast.
Wow. We had fun.
We're good at that.
We did.
We're good at this.
So, make no transfers. Not going to plan. Tell you what, though, if Liverpool Leeds is on Boxing Day, you ain't taking a chance against Salah on that one because of those channels. That I mean, Mane is.
Or Mane could be big if you look at the Martinelli runs. Yeah. Well, even say Saka got chances as well, right? So.
All of them. Mane, Jota, Salah,
all of them.
All of them. If they've got to play that Leeds team, blimey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we'll see how many players Leeds have back by. Well, no, it's only next week. It's only next week, isn't it? It's only
next week, mate. Yes.
The week
not
today.
long away at all.
No.
Scary.
So yeah, I guess as you say, normally we talk about possible transfer moves and captaincy, but that's all dead in the water. Just please, as long as you can, leave your transfers as late as possible.
You just got to think is that as well, Liverpool have probably more leaks than anybody else as a team. Like there's lots of decent leaks for those ones. Rockstar himself's a Liverpool fan, so they tend to have a fair amount of leaks. So you've got the 11 o'clock's the deadline on Boxing Day. So have yourself a nice Boxing Day breakfast and then have a look at the transfers. Don't do it before, but we should hopefully get some news on what games are going to be going ahead. I do think they will have to make decisions before Boxing Day.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's bank holiday travel.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it always is. Yeah.
It's always a nightmare getting to games for bank holidays on Boxing Day. It's just the trains are rubbish and everything like that. So as a duty of care for the fans, I feel like they'll have to try and make decisions and make them as early as possible. So it wouldn't surprise me if they put out something that said basically all players had to have a test by like 8 o'clock in the morning and that games had to be called off, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but even that's too... Well, yeah, I suppose. Leeds to Liverpool, Watford, Wolves. Yeah. 3 hours is probably... Well, people are going to be wanting to turn up an hour before the game. There's 2 hours travel between Leeds and Liverpool, roughly.
They are quite good in that all of the Boxing Day games, there's not huge travel. Probably the furthest travel is Chelsea play Villa. But Liverpool, Leeds, Wolves, Watford, actually 12:30. So we'll definitely get some early news, I think, on that one.
Yeah.
But Burnley, Everton's not too far. City, Leicester, Norwich, Arsenal, Tottenham, Palace, West Ham, Southampton, Brighton, Brentford. Like they're all like an hour, 2 hours. Not huge numbers in terms of like 5-6 hours. That's one of the reasons why United is on the Monday night, because it's better travel to get back from Newcastle. So I do hope we get some news and we'll find out. But other than that, mate, we're all good.
We're all good. I was going to say see you Wednesday,
well done
but I'm
for
not
the week,
sure.
Mate.
Oh, thanks, mate.
The comeback starts. This is it. Head to heads on.
Head to heads on. Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I was going to say see you Wednesday, but I'm not sure whether I will. We'll have to work that out.
Hopefully we'll see each other, mate. We'll try and do something this week, hopefully.
Something. Yeah, but I think Tottenham's going to be... Just can't do it. I just don't think we could do
People
it.
are just throwing money away as well, don't we? We've bought tickets and it's like they're not going to get resold.
No. The only way we'll get money back is if it gets cancelled. It's the only way we will get money back is if it gets cancelled.
Which means they probably won't cancel it. They'll just crack on and take the money.
Fucking Daniel Levy. Right, mate. Yeah, no, good week to you as well. And
All right, mate.
yeah, for everyone listening to the pod, remember, follow us on Twitter at Above Average FPL, at Baker FPL 343. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Above Average FPL. Hope you had a good week, and we won't be podding again before Christmas. So to everyone that celebrates it, have a happy Christmas from us to you.
There you go, mate. Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas. Speak to you later, mate.
See you later.
Cheers, bye.